The sky burned orange and red as another warship fell from orbit. Queen Valeth stood at the tall window of her palace, her forearms hanging loose at her sides. Her silver skin reflected the flames that lit up the night. She had watched 17 ships die in the last hour alone. Behind her, generals argued in loud voices. They pointed at maps and screens. They blamed each other for the disaster. But Valeth did not listen to them anymore. There was nothing left to argue about. The war was over. They had lost. The Corax Dominion had come without warning 6 months ago. Their black ships had appeared at the edge of Serani space like a swarm of insects. At first, Valeth thought her empire could fight them. The Serani had ruled this sector for 3,000 years. They had a proud fleet and brave soldiers. But the Corax were different. They did not fight for land or resources. They fought because they enjoyed it. They destroyed planets just to watch them burn. They killed millions just to hear them scream. And they were very, very good at war. Now, almost nothing remained of the Serani fleet. The last few ships fought desperately above the homeworld, but they were dying fast. The planetary shields would fail within days. After that, the Corax would land their troops and the real horror would begin. Valeth turned away from the window. The generals stopped arguing and looked at her. Fear filled their large black eyes. They had served her for decades. But now they looked like lost children. "Leave me," she said quietly. They did not argue. One by one, they walked out of the throne room. The heavy doors closed behind them with a deep sound. Valeth was alone. She walked slowly to her throne and sat down. The seat had been carved from a single piece of blue crystal. Her mother had sat here before her, and her grandmother before that. 20 generations of queens had ruled from this chair. And now, under Valeth's watch, it would all end. Tears ran down her silver face. She did not wipe them away. There was no one to see her cry. No one to judge her weakness. She thought about her people. 12 billion Serani lived on this world. Millions more lived on the colony planets that had already fallen. The Corax did not take prisoners. They did not accept surrender. Everyone would die. Unless someone helped. Valeth looked up at the ceiling. Somewhere up there, beyond the burning sky, other civilizations existed. The galaxy was full of empires and kingdoms and republics. Surely someone would help. Surely someone would answer if she called. She stood up and walked to the communication console near her throne. Her fingers moved across the controls. She set the broadcast to reach every frequency, every channel, every corner of space that her signal could touch. Then she spoke. "This is Queen Valeth of the Serani Empire. My world is dying. My fleet is destroyed. The Corax Dominion will kill every one of my people within days. I am asking no. I am begging for help. Anyone who can hear this message, please come. I will give anything. My wealth, my throne, my life. Just save my people, please." She ended the transmission and sat back down. The message would travel across space at faster than light speed. It would reach hundreds of civilizations within hours. Thousands within days. She waited. Hours passed. The sky continued to burn. More ships fell. The generals sent reports that she did not read. Food was brought that she did not eat. She just sat on her throne and watched the communication console. No one answered. The Vinthari Confederacy sent a formal message expressing their sympathy. But they would not send ships. The Corax were too dangerous. The Molthan Republic apologized. They were too far away to help in time. The Crystalline Collective did not respond at all. One by one, the great powers of the galaxy turned away. They sent kind words and empty promises. But no ships, no soldiers, no hope. By the end of the first day, Valeth understood the truth. No one was coming. The galaxy would watch the Serani die and do nothing. She lowered her head and closed her eyes. This was the end. Then the console made a small sound. A new message had arrived. Valeth looked up. The signal was weak and came from very far away. It was not from any government or military. The identification code showed it came from a simple cargo ship. She opened the message. A human face appeared on the screen. He was young, with black hair and dark eyes. He wore a simple jacket, not a uniform. Behind him, she could see the small bridge of a trading vessel. "Hello," the human said. "My name is Park Tae-ho. I am the captain of the cargo ship Bright Morning. I heard your message." Valeth stared at him. Humans were a minor species. They had only been in space for a few centuries. They had no great fleet, no powerful weapons, no vast empire. What could one human trader possibly do? "I appreciate your response," she said carefully. "But I need military assistance. Warships. Soldiers. I do not think you can help." "Warships," the human smiled. It was a strange smile, neither happy nor sad. "You asked for anyone who could hear you," he said. "You asked for help. I can hear you. And I want to help. You have one ship. Yes. The Koraks have thousands. Yes. You will die." The human named Tae-ho leaned forward. His dark eyes were serious now. "Maybe," he said. "But where I come from, we have a saying. When someone asks for help, you help them. You do not ask if you can win first. You just help." Valeth did not know what to say. This made no sense. One small ship against the Koraks' armada? It was suicide. It was madness. But it was also the only answer she had received. "How many crew do you have?" she asked. 12, Tae-ho said. 11 crew members and me. 12 humans against the Koraks' dominion. We have fought worse odds before." He paused. "Well, maybe not worse, but bad odds anyway." Despite everything, Valeth almost laughed. This human was either very brave or very stupid. Perhaps both. "Very well," she said. "Come to my world, Park Tae-ho. Come and see what you have volunteered for. Perhaps when you see the truth, you will change your mind." "I will not change my mind," he said simply. "I will be there in 6 hours." The screen went dark. Valeth sat alone in her throne room. Outside, her world continued to burn. Her fleet continued to die. Her people continued to wait for a salvation that would never come. But somewhere in the darkness of space, 12 humans were flying toward her. 12 small, fragile, short-lived humans in their tiny ship. It was not enough. It could never be enough. But it was something. And in that moment, something was more than anyone else in the galaxy had offered. The Bright Morning landed in the palace courtyard just as the sun rose. It was a small ship, barely 50 meters long. The hull was scratched and dented from years of hard use. Compared to the sleek warships of the Sarani fleet, it looked like a toy. Queen Valeth stood at the top of the palace steps with her remaining guards. She watched the ship's ramp lower slowly. Part of her hoped these humans had brought some secret weapon, some hidden technology that could save her people. But when the crew walked down the ramp, her hope died. There were 12 of them, just as Tae-ho had said. They wore simple clothes, work pants, jackets, boots. No armor. No military uniforms. They carried small bags and cases, but nothing that looked like weapons of war. They looked like what they were: merchants, traders, ordinary people. Tae-ho walked at the front of the group. He looked up at Valeth and bowed his head respectfully. "Your Majesty," he said. "Thank you for allowing us to land." Valeth descended the steps slowly. Her guards moved with her, their hands on their weapons. Not that it mattered. If these humans were a threat, 12 guards would make no difference. "I expected more," she said honestly. "I hoped you had hidden resources. Secret allies. Something. We have ourselves," Tae-ho replied. "That is all we have ever needed." He turned and introduced his crew one by one. There was Yuna, the medic, a small woman with kind eyes and steady hands. Donghyun was the engineer, a tall man who was already looking at the palace walls with professional interest. Ji-won handled communications, and her brother Hyun-woo managed the ship's supplies. There was also Eun-bi, the pilot, and Sujin, who worked with navigation. The others had different jobs: maintenance, cargo, cooking, repairs. They were workers, not soldiers. Each one bowed to Valeth as they were introduced. "These are traitors," one of Valeth's generals said from behind her. He did not hide his disappointment. "What can traitors do against the Corax?" "Many things," Tejo said calmly. "But first, we need to understand what we are working with. Your Majesty, may we see your remaining military forces, your weapons, your supplies, your people?" Valeth almost refused. What was the point? But she had nothing else to do except wait for death. She might as well show these humans the truth. "Follow me," she said. She led them through the palace and into the military command center. The room was large and filled with screens showing the situation across the planet. Most of the screens showed red enemy territory. Only a small area around the capital city still showed blue. "This is what remains," Valeth said. 400,000 soldiers. A few hundred vehicles. No air support. No orbital weapons. The planetary shield will fail in 3 days. The humans gathered around the screens. They did not speak at first. They just looked, their eyes moving from one display to another. "What about civilians?" Yuna asked. "How many people live in this area?" "Almost 2 billion in the capital region," Valeth said. "They have nowhere to go. The Corax control everything beyond the shield." "Do you have underground spaces?" Donghyun asked. "Tunnels? Old mines? Anything below the surface?" "Underground spaces." The question surprised Valeth. "Yes. The capital was built over ancient mining tunnels. They go very deep. But they have not been used in centuries." Donghyun nodded and made a note on his small device. "What about manufacturing?" Ji-won asked. "Can you still build things? Weapons? Vehicles?" "Some factories still work," Valeth admitted. "But we do not have enough materials. The Corax destroyed our supply lines. What materials do you have?" This question came from Sujin. Valeth turned to her general, who checked his reports. "Basic metals, some electronics. Fuel. Medical supplies are running low. Food will last perhaps 2 weeks at current rationing levels." The humans continued asking questions. They asked about everything: the water supply, the power grid, the communication systems, the hospitals, the schools. They asked about things Valeth had never considered important for war. Finally, Tejo spoke. "Your Majesty, I would like to meet with your people. Not the generals. The ordinary citizens. Workers. Shopkeepers. Farmers. Can this be arranged?" Valeth frowned. "Why? They know nothing about fighting." "That is exactly why I want to meet them," Tejo said. "Generals know how to fight proper wars. Your generals fought a proper war, and they lost. The Corax are too strong for proper war. So we will not fight properly." "Then how will you fight?" Tejo smiled that strange smile again. "Improperly, unfairly, in ways the Corax will not expect. Humans are very good at fighting unfairly. It is one of our greatest talents." One of the generals stepped forward angrily. "You insult us! The Sarani have always fought with honor." "And that honor has brought you here," Tejo said gently, "standing in your last city, waiting to die." "I mean no insult, General. Your people are brave, but bravery alone does not win wars. Sometimes you need tricks, lies, surprises, things that honorable people do not like." The general started to argue, but Valeth raised her hand. "Enough," she said. She looked at Tejo for a long moment. "You want to teach my people to fight without honor?" "I want to teach your people to survive," Tejo said. "Honor can come later, when you are alive to enjoy it." Valeth thought about her 12 billion citizens. She thought about the Corax ships waiting to destroy them. She thought about every other civilization that had refused to help. "Very well," she said. "You will have what you need. But I warn you, if this is some trick, if you are here to make things worse, I will kill you myself before the Corax get the chance. Teho bowed again. Understood, Your Majesty. Now, with your permission, my crew and I would like to get started. We do not have much time. He turned to his crew and began giving orders. Dong-hyun would inspect the tunnels. Yuna would work with the hospitals. Ji-won would study the communication systems. Each human had a task, and they moved with surprising speed and purpose. Valeth watched them scatter throughout her palace and city. These 12 ordinary humans, walking among her people like they belonged there, like they were not afraid at all. Her general stood beside her. They are mad, he said quietly. This cannot work. Perhaps, Valeth replied. But they came when no one else would. That means something. What does it mean? Valeth did not have an answer. She only knew that for the first time in months, she felt something other than despair. It was small and fragile, but it was there. It felt like hope. She watched Teho walk through the palace gates, surrounded by her guards, heading into the city to meet her people. He looked so small, so fragile, so human. But there was something in the way he walked, something in the way he held his shoulders. He walked like a man who knew exactly what he was doing. Like a man who had faced impossible situations before and won. Maybe he had. Humans had a strange history. They had survived things that should have killed them many times. Ice ages, plagues, wars. They were not the strongest species in the galaxy, or the smartest, or the oldest, but they were still here. That had to count for something. Valeth turned and walked back into her palace. There was much to do, and very little time to do it. For the first time in weeks, she had a reason to keep working. 12 humans had come to save her world. It was absurd. It was impossible. It was probably doomed to fail, but it was the only chance she had. 2 days passed faster than Valeth had expected. The humans worked without rest, moving through the city like machines. They talked to everyone, soldiers, workers, children, old people. They asked questions that seemed strange and wrote everything down. On the morning of the second day, Teho asked to meet with Valeth and all her generals. They gathered in the command center, and Teho stood before the large screen showing the map of the capital region. The Corax will attack tomorrow, he said simply. When the shield falls, they will send their ground forces. Based on their patterns, they will come from 3 directions: north, east, and west. They will try to surround the city and crush us quickly. General Miro, the oldest of Valeth's commanders, nodded grimly. We know this. We have planned defenses, but we do not have enough soldiers to hold all 3 fronts. You are right, Teho said. You cannot win by holding defensive lines. So we will not try. He touched the screen, and the map changed. New marks appeared, hundreds of small red dots scattered throughout the city and the surrounding areas. What is this? Valeth asked. This is how we will fight, Teho said. Not with lines and formations. With traps, ambushes, hidden positions. We will let the Corax enter the city, and then we will make them bleed for every street, every building, every room. The generals looked shocked. You want us to surrender the outer districts? One of them demanded. Yes, because those districts are empty now. Dong-hyun has moved all the civilians into the tunnel system beneath the city. 2 billion people are underground, safe from the initial attack. Valeth stared at him. You moved 2 billion people in 2 days? Your people are very organized when they have good reason to be, Teho said. And Dong-hyun is very good at his job. The tunnels have been prepared with food, water, and medical supplies. Yuna has trained thousands of Sarani to help in the underground hospitals. He touched the screen again, showing a view of the tunnels. They spread beneath the city like a web, connecting hundreds of locations. The tunnels are also our greatest weapon, Teho continued. We have placed fighters throughout the system. They can emerge, strike the enemy, and disappear again before the Corax can respond. Fighters? General Miro said. You mean our soldiers? Some soldiers, yes, but also others. Teho looked at Valeth. Your Majesty. Your people have a saying, every Serani serves the Queen. I have taken that literally. Everyone who can hold a weapon has been given one. Factory workers, teachers, shop owners, farmers. We have armed nearly 100,000 civilians. The room went silent. This was not how wars were fought. Civilians did not fight. They hid while soldiers protected them. This was basic. They will die, General Miro said flatly. Untrained civilians against Korak's warriors? It will be a slaughter. Some will die. Teho admitted. His voice was heavy. I will not lie about that. But they will take many Koraks with them. And they will not fight alone. He showed another part of the map. G1 has set up a communication network throughout the city and tunnels. Every fighter will be connected. When the Koraks move, we will know. When they gather in one place, we will strike another. We will be everywhere and nowhere at once. The Koraks will adapt, another general said. They are not stupid. No, they are not stupid. But they are proud. And they expect to win easily. Every surprise will confuse them. Every loss will anger them. Angry soldiers make mistakes. We will give them many chances to make mistakes. Teho moved to a table where several strange objects sat. He picked up one, a small metal box with wires coming out of it. Donghyun and his team have been very busy. These are bombs made from materials found in your city. Nothing fancy. But they work. We have placed thousands of them in buildings throughout the outer districts. When the Koraks enter, we will bring those buildings down on their heads. He picked up another object, a simple tube with a handle. These are rocket launchers. Very basic design. Your factories made 5,000 of them in the last 2 days. They will not destroy a tank with one shot, but hit a tank 10 times, and it will stop working. More objects came out. Smoke bombs to block the Korak sensors. Pits covered with thin metal that would collapse under heavy vehicles. Communication jammers to confuse enemy orders. Nothing was advanced. Nothing was elegant, but everything was deadly. Valeth picked up one of the rocket launchers. It was heavy and rough, clearly made in great hurry. This is your plan? She asked. Tricks and traps? Bombs and hidden fighters? This is how humans have always fought when we faced stronger enemies, Teho said. We hide. We strike. We run. We wait. We strike again. The enemy cannot sleep because we might attack at any moment. They cannot rest because every shadow might hold a killer. It is not honorable, but it works. And your crew? What will they do? We will fight too. Each of us will lead a team of your people. We will show them how to move, how to hide, how to kill without being seen. We are not many, but we can make 12 units that think and fight like humans. General Miro stepped forward. For the first time, there was something other than doubt in his eyes. I have studied human history, he said slowly. Your species has done this before. Small groups against great armies. And sometimes they won. Sometimes, Teho agreed. Not always, but sometimes. What do you need from us? The generals? I need you to keep fighting the traditional way. Make the Koraks think they face a normal army. Hold positions, fall back slowly, follow military patterns. While they focus on you, our hidden forces will tear them apart from behind. Valeth set down the launcher. She looked at the map, at the dots representing fighters, at the tunnels full of her people. You said some will die, she said quietly. Yes, many will die. I am sorry. If there was a way to save everyone, I would take it. But there is not. The only choice is between some dying and everyone dying. Valeth closed her eyes. When she opened them again, they were hard and cold. Then let some die fighting, she said. It is better than dying while running. What do you need me to do? Teho bowed. Your Majesty, I need you to speak to your people. They are afraid. They have seen their world fall apart. Many of them do not believe we can win. They need to hear from their queen. What should I tell them? Tell them the truth. Tell them it will be hard. Tell them they might die. But also tell them they have a chance, and tell them that when the Korax come, they will find not helpless victims, but Sirani warriors. Every single one of them. That night, Valeth spoke to her people through every screen and speaker in the city and tunnels. She told them about the plan. She told them about the humans who had come to help. She told them about the weapons and the traps and the hidden positions. And she told them something she had not planned to say. I have been your queen for 40 years, she said. I have asked many things of you. Taxes, labor, loyalty. But I have never asked this. I have never asked you to fight, to risk your lives, to stand against an enemy that wants to destroy everything we are. She paused, and when she spoke again, her voice was strong. I am asking now, not as your queen, as one Sirani speaking to another, will you fight with me? The answer came from 2 billion voices, rising from the tunnels and streets and buildings like a wave. They would fight. Tomorrow, the Korax would learn what that meant. The shield fell at dawn. The Korax did not wait a single minute. Their ships descended through the clouds like black rain, and their troops poured onto the land in endless waves. Tanks rolled forward. Aircraft filled the sky. The ground shook with their advance. From her command post deep underground, Valeth watched the screens showing the enemy approach. There were so many of them. More than she had expected. The Korax wanted to end this quickly, and they had brought enough force to do it. Teho stood beside her, speaking quietly into his communicator. His crew was spread throughout the city, each leading a team of Sirani fighters. They waited in buildings and tunnels and hidden holes, watching the enemy come. Steady, Teho said to his people. Let them in. Wait for my signal. The Korax reached the outer districts. They moved carefully at first, checking for obvious traps. When they found none, they grew confident. They pushed deeper, faster. Their commanders shouted orders, pushing their troops forward. That was when the first building exploded. The blast was huge. An entire tower collapsed onto a column of Korax tanks, burying dozens of vehicles under tons of stone and metal. Before the dust could settle, rockets screamed from hidden positions. Tanks that had survived the collapse now burned. The Korax stopped. They tried to regroup, but the attacks came from everywhere. A squad moving down a street was hit by bombs dropped from rooftops. A group of officers gathering to give orders was killed by a single sniper. Supply vehicles were destroyed before they could reach the front lines. In the command post, G1 tracked every fight on her screens. Team 3 has hit the eastern column. 15 kills, no losses. Team 7 is engaging near the old market. Team 12 reports enemy confusion in Sector 9. Valeth watched in amazement. Her people were fighting, not as soldiers, but as shadows. They appeared from nowhere, killed quickly, and vanished before the enemy could respond. It is working, she breathed. For now, Teho said. But the Korax will adapt. They always do. He was right. After the first hour of chaos, the Korax commanders changed their approach. They stopped pushing forward. They brought up heavy weapons and began to destroy buildings before their troops entered them. They swept areas with fire, caring nothing for what they destroyed. The attacks slowed. Some teams were caught and killed. Others were forced to retreat deeper into the city. We are losing ground, General Miro reported from his position near the center of the city. His traditional forces had been fighting a careful retreat, drawing Korax's attention while the hidden teams attacked. But now, the pressure was growing too strong. Expected, Teho said calmly. Phase 2. Fall back to secondary positions. Let them have the outer city. The Sirani fighters melted away, disappearing into the tunnel network. The Korax advanced again, this time more carefully. They destroyed every building they passed. They killed everyone they found, but they found fewer and fewer people to kill. By midday, the Korax controlled half the city. But they had lost thousands of soldiers doing it. Their commanders were furious. This was supposed to be easy. The Serani were supposed to break and run. Instead, they were fighting like nothing the Corax had ever seen. The enemy commander himself came to the front lines. His name was Warlord Kreth, and he was famous throughout the galaxy for his cruelty. He had destroyed 100 worlds. He had killed billions, and he was very, very angry. "Find them," he roared at his officers. "Find these cowards who hide in holes. Bring them to me." The Corax began searching the tunnel entrances they had found. Some teams went underground. Most did not come back up. The tunnels were death traps. Every passage held surprises, bombs, pits, ambushes. The Serani knew every twist and turn. The Corax stumbled in the darkness, easy targets for defenders who could see in the dim light. But Kreth did not stop. He sent more troops into the tunnels. He ordered gas attacks. Flooding. Burning. Slowly. Brutally. His forces pushed deeper. "We cannot hold the tunnels much longer," Donghyun reported. He was leading the defense of the Eastern Tunnel Network, and his voice was tired. "They are too many. Seal sections 7 through 12, Taeho ordered. "Collapse the passages behind you. Fall back to the inner ring." More explosions shook the ground. More tunnels died. More Corax died with them. But more Serani died too. Night came, but the fighting did not stop. The Corax used lights and sensors to continue their attack. They advanced slowly, carefully, paying for every meter with blood. In the command post, Valeth counted the losses. Thousands of her people were dead. Tens of thousands more were wounded. The hospitals underground were full, but the Corax had lost more. Much more. Their original invasion force had been cut in half. Kreth had called for reinforcements, but they would not arrive for hours. "We need to end this before those reinforcements come," Taeho said. "If we let them regroup, they will overwhelm us." "How?" Valeth asked. "We are barely holding on." Taeho looked at the map for a long moment. Then he spoke quietly. "I need to kill Kreth." Everyone in the command post turned to stare at him. "That is impossible," General Miro said. "He is surrounded by his best guards. The most elite Corax warriors in the galaxy." "I know. But if he dies, their command structure falls apart. Corax respect strength above all else. When their strongest leader dies, they will fight each other for control. It will give us the time we need." "You cannot reach him," Valeth said. "The path is impossible." "Not impossible. Very difficult. But not impossible." Taeho turned to Yunbi. "Can you get the ship close enough?" The pilot thought for a moment. Close enough? For what? A drop, above his position, fast and low. Yunbi nodded slowly. "I can try. No promises. Good enough." Taeho began checking his weapons. "Your Majesty, I need volunteers. Serani who are not afraid to die." "I will go," Valeth said. The command post went silent. "No," Taeho said firmly. "Your people need you. My people need victory. And I will not send others to die while I hide underground." Valeth stood tall. "I am still a warrior. I trained for combat before I became queen, and Kreth destroyed my world. I want to look in his eyes when he dies." Taeho studied her for a long moment. Then he nodded. "Very well, we leave in 20 minutes. The team gathered quickly. Taeho, Valeth, and 20 Serani warriors who had volunteered without hesitation. They climbed aboard the bright morning while Unbi prepared for the most dangerous flight of her life. The ship rose from the underground hangar and shot into the night sky. Corax weapons tried to track it, but Yunbi flew like a ghost, twisting through explosions and enemy fire. Below them, Kreeth's command position was lit by hundreds of lights. The warlord stood at the center, surrounded by his guards, watching the battle with satisfaction. "Dropping in 10 seconds, Yunbi said. "Good luck." The ship's belly opened. Taeho jumped first, his body cutting through the cold air. Valeth followed, and then the others. They fell like stones toward the enemy camp. The Corax saw them too late. The first guards died before they could raise their weapons. Taeho moved through them like water. his human weapons cutting down everything in his path. Valeth fought beside him, her forearms wielding blades with deadly skill. They carved a path toward Kreth. The warlord watched them come, not with fear, but with something like respect. "Humans," he growled. "I should have known." "Known." Teho faced him alone. The warlord was huge, 3 times his size, armed with weapons that could tear a human apart. "You cannot win," Kreth said. "Even if you kill me, my people will destroy you." "Maybe," Teho said, "but you will be dead, and that is enough for tonight." He attacked. The fight was short and brutal. Kreth was stronger, but Teho was faster. The human dodged killing blows, struck weak points, moved without stopping. In the end, Kreth fell with Teho's blade in his throat. Teho stood over the body, breathing hard. Around him, the remaining Korax guards stared in shock. "Your leader is dead," Teho said loudly. "What happens now is up to you." The guards looked at each other. Then, as Teho had predicted, they turned on each other. Valeth grabbed Teho's arm as the Korax began fighting among themselves. "We need to go." Quote, they ran as the enemy camp descended into chaos. The sun rose on a different world than the one that had existed yesterday. The Korax forces, leaderless and fighting among themselves, had broken apart during the night. Some units had fled back to their ships, others had been destroyed by Serani forces that finally had the advantage. Still others had simply stopped fighting, waiting for orders that never came. By noon, the last Korax ship lifted off from Serani soil. The invasion was over. Queen Valeth stood on the steps of her palace, watching the enemy retreat. Her silver skin was covered in dust and blood, some of it her own. She had not slept in 3 days. Every part of her body hurt, but she was alive. Her people were alive. Her world was free. Around her, the city was in ruins. Entire districts had been destroyed. Fires still burned in some places. The streets were filled with broken machines and fallen buildings. It would take years to rebuild, but they would rebuild. That was what mattered. Teho walked up the palace steps to stand beside her. He looked as tired as she felt. His clothes were torn and burned. A bandage wrapped around his left arm, where a Korax blade had cut him. "It is over," Valeth said. The words felt strange in her mouth. "For now," Teho agreed. "The Korax will remember this. They do not forget defeats easily. You should prepare for them to come back someday. We will be ready." She turned to look at him. "Because of you." From the tunnels below the city, Serani citizens were emerging into the light. 2 billion people. Blinking in the sun, looking around at their damaged home. But they were looking, not hiding. They were walking on their own world, not running from enemies. Cheers began to rise from the streets. At first quiet, then louder and louder. The people had heard what had happened. They knew about the humans who had come to help. They knew about the impossible fight at Kreth's camp. They knew their queen had fought beside the strange visitors. Soon the cheering was so loud that Valeth could feel it in her chest. "They are cheering for you," she told Teho. "They are cheering because they are alive," he corrected. "And they should be. They fought well, better than anyone expected." His crew gathered on the palace steps. All 12 humans were battered and exhausted, but they were all alive. Against all the odds, against an enemy that had destroyed worlds, they had survived. Yuna sat down on the steps, too tired to stand. Donghyun leaned against a pillar, his eyes half closed. Yunbi was talking quietly with Ji-won about the repairs the bright morning would need before it could fly again. They looked like ordinary people, because they were ordinary people. Traders and workers and travelers who had answered a call for help from a stranger. "Come inside," Valeth said. "You need rest, food, medical care. I will give you the finest rooms in the palace." Teho shook his head. "Thank you, but we should not stay long. Our ship needs repairs, and then we should move on. There are other places that need cargo delivered, other routes to fly." "You speak as if you will just leave, as if nothing has changed." "Has anything changed?" We are still traders. You are still a queen. The galaxy is still the same. Valeth stepped in front of him, blocking his path. Her forearms were crossed, and her dark eyes were intense. Everything has changed, she said. You saved my world. You saved my people. You saved me. I cannot let you leave with nothing. Times for quarter. I can. She reached up and removed the thin crown from her head. It was made of blue crystal, the same material as her throne. It had been worn by 20 generations of queens. Stay, she said. Rule with me. Be my king. Share my throne. Whatever you want, I will give it. The other humans had stopped moving. They watched the scene with wide eyes. Tejo looked at the crown for a long moment. Then, very gently, he pushed it back toward Valeth. I cannot accept, he said. This is not why we came. Then why? Why did you come? You risked everything. Your ship, your crew, your life. For people you had never met. For a world you had never seen. Why? Tejo was quiet for a moment. When he spoke, his voice was soft. Where I come from, there is an old story. A man is walking down a road and finds another man lying hurt in the dirt. He does not know this man. They are from different towns, different families, different lives. But the first man stops anyway. He helps the stranger, gives him medicine, takes him to safety, and when people ask why he did it, he says something very simple. He paused. He says, because he was there, and the stranger needed help. Valeth stared at him. That is not a reason. That is not politics or profit or power. That is nothing. No, that is everything. Tejo smiled. And for the first time, it was a warm smile. You asked for help. We were there. We helped. That is what humans do. Not always, not everyone, but enough of us. Enough of the time that it matters. But I owe you a debt I can never repay. You owe nothing. Debts are for business. This was not business. This was just being human. He looked at his crew. They were nodding. Even in their exhaustion. They understood. This was something that did not need explanation among humans. Valeth did not know what to say. In her entire life, she had never met anyone who did not want something in return for their service. Power, money, land, influence, everyone had a price. But these humans seemed to have no price at all. If you will not stay, she said finally, then at least let me give you supplies. Repair your ship. Fill your cargo holds with whatever you need. That much at least. You must accept. Tejo thought about it. Supplies would be helpful. And repairs. But only what we need. Nothing more. Done. Valeth put her crown back on her head. And I will spread the word across the galaxy about what you did here. Every civilization will know that 12 humans defeated the Korax Dominion. Your name will be remembered for 1,000 years. We did not defeat them. Your people did. We just helped them see what they could do. Then I will tell that story. The story of how humans showed the Serani how to fight, how to survive, how to win. She held out one of her 4 hands. Tejo took it. Thank you, she said. Those words are not enough. But they are all I have. They are enough, Tejo said. They have always been enough. 3 days later, the bright morning lifted off from Serani. Its hull was repaired, its cargo holds were full, and its crew was rested. From the palace, Valeth watched the small ship rise into the sky and disappear among the stars. She wondered if she would ever see them again. She hoped she would. Not because she needed saving again, but because she wanted to know them better. These strange, small, fragile creatures who had taught her so much about strength. Around her, her advisors were already making plans. Rebuild the fleet. Strengthen the defenses. Prepare for the future. There was so much work to do. But Valeth also had another project in mind. She would find a way to repay the debt, even if Tejo did not want payment. She would help humans wherever she found them. She would send ships to protect their worlds, trade routes to benefit their merchants, resources to strengthen their colonies. Not because she had to, because she wanted to, because someone had helped her when no one else would, because 12 ordinary humans had shown her what heroes really looked like, and because now, she understood the truth that Tejo had tried to explain. Some things you do not do for reward. You do them because someone needs help, and you are there. And helping is simply the right thing to do. It was such a simple idea, and yet it had saved a world. Valith turned away from the window and began her work. There was a kingdom to rebuild, a people to heal, a future to create, and somewhere out there, among the endless stars, 12 humans were flying toward their next adventure. She hoped they would find good fortune. They deserved it. They deserved everything.